In December 1866, one of the worst military defeats suffered by the U.S. Army on the Great Plains took place near Fort Phil Kearny in present-day Wyoming. The battle became known as the Fetterman Fight, and it showed just how determined Native American nations were to defend their land. The conflict was part of Red Cloud's War, a struggle between the United States and a coalition of Lakota, Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors. The U.S. government had built forts along the Bozeman Trail, a route used by settlers and gold seekers traveling through native hunting grounds. Many native leaders saw the forts as an invasion of their territory. Among them was Red Cloud, an influential Oglala Lakota leader who organized resistance against the Army's presence. One of the forts built along the trail was Fort Phil Kearny. Located deep in contested territory, it was constantly threatened by native warriors who attacked supply trains, livestock herds, and woodcutting parties. By the winter of 1866, tensions had reached a breaking point. On the morning of December 21st, a group of native warriors appeared near the fort and began harassing a wood train that had been sent out to gather timber. The attack was part of a carefully planned strategy. The warriors wanted to lure soldiers away from the protection of the fort and into an ambush. Fort Commander Colonel Henry Carrington ordered Captain William Fetterman and a force of about 80 soldiers and civilians to rescue the wood train. Before they left, Carrington reportedly warned Fetterman not to cross Lodge Trail Ridge, a nearby high ridge that would place his men out of sight and support of the fort. But as the pursuit continued, Fetterman and his men followed the retreating warriors. Among those drawing the soldiers forward was a young Oglala Lakota warrior named Crazy Horse, who later became one of the most famous Native American leaders in history. Acting as a decoy, Crazy Horse and the other riders skillfully tempted the soldiers to continue the chase. Once Fetterman's force crossed the ridge, they entered a trap. Hundreds, possibly more than 1,000, Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors emerged from hidden positions. The soldiers suddenly found themselves surrounded. A fierce battle erupted across the snowy hills. The Army troops fought desperately, but they were heavily outnumbered and cut off from reinforcements. Within a short time, every member of Fetterman's command was dead. All 80 men had been killed. For the Native coalition, it was a major victory and proof that the U.S. Army could be defeated on the plains. For the United States, the loss was shocking. Newspapers across the country reported the disaster, and many Americans were stunned that an entire military force had been wiped out. The Fetterman Fight became the worst Army defeat on the Great Plains up to that point. The victory strengthened Red Cloud's position and increased pressure on the U.S. government. 2 years later, Red Cloud's War ended with the Treaty of Fort Laramie in 1868. The United States agreed to abandon its forts along the Bozeman Trail and temporarily recognized Lakota control over the Powder River country. It was one of the few times in American history that a Native coalition forced the U.S. government to negotiate from a position of military defeat. Today, the Fetterman Fight remains one of the most significant battles of Red Cloud's War. It stands as a powerful reminder of Native resistance, military strategy, and the determination of indigenous nations to defend their homeland against overwhelming pressure from westward expansion.